Do you love that song? In what church do you think you'd hear Landslide song? Aren't you glad you're here? Could you all relate to that song? We've all had our landslide moments where the earth was shaking below us. Everything, our world was rocking. Well, that's what spring does. You know, we're in spring and there's a new energy and we feel that call of doing something different and greater. And so we're having a series on rededication to our self-fulfillment. And Cindy talked the first week about spring having that bigger energy that's welling up within us, that's calling us to do something greater and be something greater. And that we have to, it's our choice now to invest that energy in what we want. Because if we don't take that energy and invest it in what we want, others will see that energy in us and they'll like to invest that energy for us. And that may serve us and it may not, but it's our time to choose where we want to invest our energy to become greater. And then last week she talked about the lessons on joy that Jesus taught. And remember, we all had a fake laugh. If you were here, we had a fake laugh. So did that come in handy this week? When we fake laughed, we actually started laughing. And then laughter brings us to joy, and in joy, then we can move into the heart of God. And we can create a space for God to move through the stuff that we are fake laughing at. That will come in handy this week too. So this week we're talking about shifting our consciousness and to create a new reality. And when we start to shift our consciousness, our world starts to rock. So our reality is the reflection of our thoughts and beliefs that we're holding about ourselves and about others, about God, about our world. And we hold these as very true because we've spent sometimes a lifetime in creating this reality. It's the house that we're living in. And we need to shift our consciousness. So let's talk about what our consciousness is. This is basic metaphysics. We have three phases. We have our superconscious, which is our divine mind, one with Christ's mind. We have our subconscious, which is filled with all the experiences, thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that we've ever had. And we have our conscious mind. That's our thinker, our analyzer, and our chooser. And so within our subconscious mind, we hold all our limiting beliefs about ourselves. And most of them come from childhood. When we were little, we make these beliefs about ourselves. And they could be, oh, my dad wasn't there, I must not be lovable. You know, he was working, trying to provide, but as a child, you can't see that. Or, so therefore, I'm not lovable, and therefore, no relationships work out for me because I'm not lovable. Do you hear me? Or I know I'm not good enough, so I never get that promotion. I was right. Every time that promotion, I always get passed over by that promotion. And so I was right. And so in our subconscious files are all these experiences that vibrate. They vibrate out and they create the same experiences that makes it look like it's true. I believe I was less than, therefore I have this experience that shows me I'm less than. Therefore I am less than, and oh man, I was right. And so sometimes we get caught up in knowing what's going to happen because that belief about being right is greater than the belief that allows us to change and be wrong. So we get stuck in our rightness because this is my world and I created it and this is what always happens. And I'm right about it. I'm not happy about it, but I'm right about it. And all the emotions are stored in that file. If you go back to something that happened when you were little, you can tap into that emotion of how you were feeling. They're there instantly for us. And we get very attached to that. But the good thing is that we have these good files that have all the positive experiences that we've ever had. And so those files vibrate as well. So you might have, even though you're having all these thoughts about less than, maybe you're not lovable, maybe you're not good enough, smart enough, whatever's keeping you back from doing what you want to do. But then somebody might smile at you and give you a compliment. And you go, ooh, okay, that gets filed in my positive file. I'm good. She gave me attention. Oh, somebody gave me a compliment. Oh, that goes in the other I am good file. All of our experiences, when somebody smiles at us, shows us that they care, shows us that they love us, every experience that we have where we label as good will go in those good files. And so we have all of those vibrating at the same time. We have, I'm not worthy, yeah, I can do it. I'm not worthy, I can do it. And so our spirit is trying to create through that. So how complicated is that? How it's like a pinball machine trying to get in there. You know, it goes in, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then what comes out is our reality. We have that conflicting energy within. And we get caught up in that being right. And we get comfortable with that struggle, and we let that subconscious control our reality instead of going to divine mind, choosing divine mind and creating something different. And we all are aware of what we need to change about ourselves, right? Most of us have all been working and on the path and doing our work. So we're aware of what needs to be changed. So when we change, we set our new intention. Maybe I am prosperous, I am lovable, I'm valuable, I'm worthy, I'm successful. Or I can do whatever my soul longs to do. Doesn't that feel good? I don't have to do what the world tells me. I can give my gifts and talents, and the world will support me in my expression because I'm a child of God. How good does that feel? Is that easy? Because we have in our subconscious files all those thoughts and beliefs that we were told you had to work hard, or you couldn't do that, or being an artist was silly, or whatever was in there. So we have all that amassed, and we're trying to put this new thought of shifting our consciousness. And so that new thought goes in, and it's like a hammer, and it starts to, we focus on it, it starts to hammer at those old beliefs, and it starts to shake them up and wake them up. And we can focus for a little while. When you start to do something new, you go, oh, I'm cooking. Things are going really great. Everything's falling into place. I can do this. And then all of a sudden, everything starts to fall apart. Maybe your car breaks down, your relationships gets rocky, you lose your job because maybe you didn't want it anyways. And, you know, all these things start to happen that look not so good. But it's showing movement. It's the subconscious trying to hang on to everything that it knew that was right. No, this is your reality. Who do you think you are? I have all this experience that shows you that you can't do this. And now you have that wee little thought coming in going, yes I can, yes I can, yes I can. So we have all these challenges come up, and then sometimes maybe we start to get sick, and then sometimes we might just go back to doing what we were doing before because it got too hard. Well, what's happening is chemicalization. When you introduce a higher thought into your consciousness, it's trying to shake up, it's trying to take hold over the old consciousness. Just like, you know, if you ever try to get off sugar or caffeine or wheat or dairy, and your body goes, oh, I don't think so. You have a reaction because your body's going, no, I'm used to being fed this. The same thing. Our emotions create chemicals in our body, and we start trying to change those emotions and those thoughts. We start having chemical reactions as well. So, does everybody understand what's happening? Can everybody relate and experience that? And so I asked Spirit, okay, so what story could I use to demonstrate that? And so I divined it into the Aquarian Gospel, and it was the story of Peter walking on the water. Do we all know that story? Now, before this happened, the disciples had already been sent out by themselves to heal. They've been given the omnific word to raise the dead and heal the sick and cast out spirits, and they were out doing the work. And then they just witnessed Jesus feeding 5,000. They had no food. He took the loaves and bread and multiplied it, and they were all there witnessing. And so that's still going into their consciousness as possibilities. Remember, they've already done the work. They've already done the work. And so then Peter, I'll just read you. It's in the Aquarian Gospel, chapter 1:24. The 12 were on the sea and hoped to reach Capernaum in just a little time, when all at once a fearful storm arose, and they were at the mercy of the waves. And in the fourth watch of the night, the wind became a whirlwind, and they were filled with fear. And in the blinding storm, they saw a form move on the waves, and it seemed to be a man. And one spoke out and said, "It is a ghost, a sign of evil things." But John discerned the form and said, "It is the Lord." And then the wind blew not so hard, and Peter, standing in the midst, exclaimed, my Lord, if this be truly you, bid me to come to you upon the waves." The form reached forth his hand and said, "Come on." And Peter stepped upon the waves, and they were solid as a rock, and he walked upon the waves. He walked until he thought within himself, "What if the waves should break beneath my feet?" And then the waves did break beneath the feet, and he began to sink. In the fearfulness of soul he cried, "Oh, save me, Lord, or I am lost." And Jesus took him by the hand and said, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And Jesus led the way unto the boat. So when we look at that, we think of the reality that Peter had. They were fishermen. They probably spent their life on the water. They know that water is supposed to be liquid because fish swim in it that they catch, that they can sell for food and eat. That is my reality. His reality, he's a fisherman. He knows the tides, he knows the stars, he knows the way of the waves, and I know that this is liquid. Okay? So think about what had to shift for him to even step out onto the water. His whole reality had to shift of knowing that that is not solid. And the Christ beaconed. He beckoned him. He put out his hand. And so we could look at it as Peter's Christ in nature beckoning him to move forward, to do something greater. And then Peter moved to it. And then his subconscious files took over, said, "Wait a minute, I know this is water and this can't be. I have too much experience in my life to know that water is not solid." Down he went. So how do we look at Peter? Do we look at Peter, "Oh, silly Peter, good try, but you failed"? I think it's always been presented where Jesus says, "Oh, Peter, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" But I think the cool thing about this story is that he reached out his hand to the Christ, and the Christ led him back to the boat. Peter didn't swim back by himself and get afraid. He did the easy way. He walked back with the Christ to the safety of the boat. So how cool is that? So he went for expansion, wavered, but then in the end, he was walking with the Christ. And isn't that how we need to do? Isn't it easier? We feel this calling and then we reach out to it, but isn't it easier if we're with our Christ in nature and we're walking together? We can walk upon the waters back to the boat of safety to move on to a new experience. So I say that was a success. Don't you?
Yes.
He walked on water. We don't know how many steps he took, but he didn't just get out of the boat and go down. They didn't have to perform CPR. There was no it really shows him dedicating himself to his fulfillment. And there was no commentary from the other 11 in the boat. We don't hear anything about what they said or heard or anything. You don't know if they didn't say, "Go on, Peter, go, go, go." Or did they stand there and give him energy so he can make it? Or did they go, "What are you doing?" I knew he was going to fall. That Peter. And how do you think Peter filed that experience in his consciousness? Did he think, "I failed, I sank, Jesus had to save me"? He scolded me for not having enough faith. I'm just not good enough. I'm not cut out for this discipleship. Everyone says I'm reckless and crazy. They were right. Or did he file it in a success file where he said, "I walked on water"? And the Lord kiddingly said, "Ye of little faith," because everybody knows I'm the faithful one. And he said, "Why did you doubt? I was right there. I saw you doing it. Yay, I was right there." And me and the Lord sauntered back to the boat. So how would you file this experience? Because Peter got out of the boat and walked on water and got back to the boat, he was changed. He was changed for that experience. And the others that witnessed him could have been changed also. But it depends, it could have planted a seed of what is possible for them, even greater than what they've been doing. But it all depends on how they filed what they saw. Did they, like when Peter get back in the boat, did they, just put their head down and not look at him like, "I can't believe you did that"? What were you thinking? Or did they high five and say, "Good job, good job"? Or did they say, "Only the Christ walks on water"? What were you thinking? Now these people have already been doing miracles. How often do we have all this experience that shows how great we are, and something happens and we file it in that not good enough category? So let's look at, let's just take a moment and just think about where you were a year ago. Did your Christ call to shift your consciousness? Did you jump out of the boat? Or did you say, "I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready to give up my feeling of needing to be right and knowing what's happening"? Or did you take a few steps and swim back? Or did you walk on water for a little while and saunter back with the Christ and call it good? Or did the waves beat you down for a little while? Had to come up for air, and finally, before you reach out, got back to the boat? What did you consider successful? What's really funny is it doesn't matter what really happened. It only matters how you perceived it. How we perceive it, that's how it gets filed. And then that's what gets reflected back out into our world. And so if we were taking the stance of the other 11, if we had an opportunity, which we all do, we have opportunities to watch and be with each other as they're stepping out of the boat. And did we shake our head? Go, "Yeah, I know what's going to happen. I told you so." Or did we allow space for God to move through and allow that situation to blossom and see the Christ in that person? When we look at somebody or a situation and we think we know what's up, it's really reinforcing their limiting subconscious files, giving them food to make that file that's like the expando files that we have. It's just feeding that, because I see you as limiting, and therefore I'm reflecting back what you believe. But if we choose to see that each person is doing their best for their soul. We chose to see that each person is successful in whatever their step is. Even if they stepped out of the boat, yay. If they fell and got help, yay. Everything is good. If we put it in the good file, because it got them to where they are now. A few years ago, I had a big landslide story. John and I lost our home, our property. We were separated for a year. And all that while, everything was unraveling. And everything that we had built our world around was falling down. And when we were going through that, I had a lot of support. I had come in and I had a lot of girlfriends who never said anything negative about me, about our situation, about John. They only supported me in my growth. Came in for healing so that I could get centered and move through. And, healing bypasses that subconscious. If you come in for healing like Reiki and crystal and color, it takes that allows that superconscious to filter through that subconscious and change those files from negative to positive. It like transmutes them, and you get your head out of the way. And that's like an easy way of doing it, because it feels good and you feel the movement. But everything that unraveled had to unravel. Thank goodness everything unraveled that had to unravel, because now we are in a wonderful space. We are together. We have a sweet home. Our home is filled with love and laughter and tenderness and joy, and music and creativity. And we are not held by all the attachments that we had created over all those years of what was supposed to be and who was right about what and who was wrong about what. And so I would file that story as a success. That's a success story. Although it didn't feel like it at the time, because I was rocking and crying and rocking. But it all had to happen. Had to let go. So how many stories do we have of trial and tribulations that we are labeling as failure or not good enough? That really should be labeled as the success files. And as for our friend Peter, Jesus then, after his little moment, Jesus then declared him that he was the rock in which he was going to build the church on, because he was faith. He had faith in the ability to hear God. And then Peter went through more challenges like the rest of the disciples did. And he was instrumental in teaching and creating the church and converting and preaching and organizing, and went out and fulfilled his mission. So if we could recap, in shifting our consciousness, we set our intention, right? And we take that energy and we rededicate it to something that's going to serve us in a new way, right?
Yes.
And we focus on the Christ, right?
Yes.
By meditating daily. If we start to lose our way, you call out for the Christ. You call for a divine mind. And fourth, find support. Find support for someone that can see the Christ in you, that can always see you as a success. I had people that never made me feel that I was failing. So think of somebody, and it doesn't even have to be your mate, be a friend or somebody that you know that you can trust, that's going to hold that vision for you to see you through so that you can build more light files. And you can make it through when everything starts unraveling, because we want it to unravel, because it needs to change. So we need someone that can laugh with us, like when our car breaks down or our pipes break or lose our job, or when you start doing this, really weird things start happening, as you all know. And we will laugh, because it is funny, once you stop crying. And we can laugh because we're saying, yay, that means there's movement. And that's what we want, is movement. We need to shift. We need to move. We just need that support to get back in the boat. So let's anchor this in and go through our short meditation. Just close your eyes. And again, just feel your heart center. And just imagine a column of light coming over you where you sit. Feeling the safety of this light and the safety of this space. And now just imagine yourself as a child. Just for a moment, let whatever comes up come up about any belief that you may have misperceived about yourself. And just now allow light to move through that file and that belief. Letting it changing your perception about you, maybe about somebody else. And just allow that light to move deeper and deeper into whatever you're seeing. And just be with that. See the untruth in the perception. Knowing that you are loved, that you are capable, you are worthy, you are enough. You can do anything you want. And just keep allowing light to flood and transmute that file. Notice how you feel. Take the hand of the Christ and just allow light to keep continuing to move through that file. And now for a moment, let that go. And in your mind's eye, I want you to create this beautiful folder. This beautiful folder that holds light. Now I want you to look at your subconscious folders, your files, and just see how many you might click and drag into the light success folder. Do you have a new perception, a new reality of all the things that have happened in your world, in your life, to you? Can you let things unravel? Let your attachments go of being right. And see the good in all that has happened. And when you can, maybe just click and drag into the light file. I am now a success. I was successful at doing that. And just allow that to fill up. Allowing that vibration of love and light and success and goodness of all the things that you are melt away the subconscious files that you held on to before. And notice how it feels. And now for a moment, just take a minute and create another folder. Have it open up. And in this folder is just a beam of light. And I set this folder to draw light experiences to me. And I charge this folder with all the love of the Christ. I charge this folder with a deep knowing of who I am in spirit. And I ask that those experiences be filed in here. And I leave this open that I may draw more light experiences, more wonderful, joy-filled experiences into my world, to be able to shift my consciousness and walk above the waves. And just feel how you're expanded. And thank the Christ for being with you. Note that filter in through your consciousness. You may feel a quickening in different parts of your body. And send your gratitude to all of those experiences that you've had. They are all just a reflection of a belief that you hold, that you held, that may or may have not been true. But it's okay. We're shifting and creating higher truths and beliefs for ourselves. Just take a nice deep breath. And let it move through your body and your heart. And God, we're so grateful for this time on the earth and all of our experiences. And so it is. And when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. How did that feel? So don't discount the few steps that you might have taken walking on the water. They all count. Make sure when you're watching somebody go through their challenges, hold them, see the Christ in them, and knowing that they're doing great. And think about who's going to be your partner in seeing you through your challenges, seeing you as success and that unlimited child of God to create new consciousness in your world. So have fun this week. Have many light-filled experiences. And so it is.